Tell you, it's hard to tell you about the Army back in the. I joined in March 1976. Went to basic training in El Paso, Texas, Fort Bliss. The stuff that we went through, if you've ever seen the movie Full Metal Jacket, the Marine Corps wasn't the only one like that. The Army was the same way. I mean, the exact same way. If any Marine sees this video from back in the 70s, they'll probably tell you that, Arlie Army, the guy who was the drill sergeant in that show, somebody asked him, how true was that? And he said, well, for the most part, it wasn't true. Well, I mean, let me backtrack on that, okay? Everything was true. Everything that you've seen in that movie was true, except for the guy getting punched in the stomach, or the big fat guy being slapped. That didn't happen. But there was drill sergeants back in that time that pushed that envelope. Because I'm going to tell you something. If one of the drill sergeants slapped you, punched you in the stomach, and you went and complained about it, your life in the military, in basic training, just went from being this big to this big. So you didn't go and complain. You never said anything. I went through, and this is the funny thing, and I'm on Facebook websites, and I've heard guys say the same thing. This is 2024. I went through in 1976. It was like 45 years ago. And this is how much impression that the drill sergeants make on you. Drill Sergeant Kittle, Drill Sergeant Trout, Drill Sergeant Crutcher. I still know the 3 names of my drill sergeants. They are in your face for 4 months. Do you remember them? But I tell you what, it only takes the first 2 weeks. Well, back in 1976, it only took the first 2 weeks for them drill sergeants to be in your face. And you'll remember. I think it was about a year and a half ago or 2 years ago now that the Army got rid of what they call Shark Week. I don't think they called it Shark Week when I went through. Shark Week, what I did was, when I got off the airplane down there and they took us a bus to Fort Bliss, you spent 3 days in what they call the reception station. And the drill sergeant, he walked you around, took you to every place that you needed to go. All the people. You got your haircut, you got your ID cards, you got your uniforms. They gave you, back then they gave you $50 advance pay, which was quite a bit of money back in 1976. And then they take you over. Back then, this was a funny thing. This is a funny story. They take you to the PX with a list of stuff, a written down typewritten list of stuff that you had to buy. Black shoe polish. Oh man, I can't remember. But it's like if you didn't have, you had, black shoe polish, you had to buy your Brasso. So there was stuff like that they mandatorily made you have. And then if you went down there and you did not have razors or shaving cream, you were expected to buy it. You were expected to buy your own soap. And then they told you, okay, we could smoke in basic training back in '76. And couldn't smoke all the time, not when you wanted to. There was an old saying that, you know, smoke them if you got them. And back then, the drill sergeants, I mean, if there was 5 minutes when you weren't doing anything, the drill sergeants would look at everybody and say, smoke them if you got them. And you were allowed to smoke a cigarette. They didn't take away cigarette privileges. As a matter of fact, when, you know, we got back into the barracks at 9:30 at night, and from 9:30 until 10:30 when we went to sleep, you could smoke all you want. And they had, all throughout the middle of the hallway, they had coffee cans. The lids had been totally cut off. Inside was a little bit of sand, and that was your ashtray. If you happen to wake up in the middle of the night, you could wake up in the middle of the night, smoke a cigarette, wasn't no problem. Anyways, they took us to this little PX, and they said, you know, you're going to be up there in basic training for 8 weeks. You're not going to be able to buy, you're not going to have any sodas, you're not going to have any cigarettes, you're not going to have any candy. You're not going to have any chance to get to a store. They even say, if you want any girly magazines, get them while you're in there. Stock up for 8 weeks. So we did. And then after that 3 days in the reception station, we all had our uniforms, and we packed everything up in our duffel bags, and we got on buses. And from the reception station, then they took you to basic training, where the real basic training started. And that drill sergeant jumped on that bus, and he screamed. If you watch any military videos created by the military, if you do, hey, YouTube, Army basic training, Navy basic training, Air Force basic training, it's all bullshit. They're not going to show you the real stuff. They're not going to show it to you. They'll show it to you a little bit, but that's not how them drill sergeants act. So you can forget that. That drill sergeant jumped on that bus, and he hollered out, you MFers have 3 seconds to get off this bus, and 2 of them are already gone. And at the top of his lungs, he was screaming, get off, get off, get off. And he started kicking people. They had that, you know, they jump up and put the duffel bag on your back. He'd be kicking the back of that duffel bag, and some of the kids were falling off the bus. Some of the guys were falling out of the bus. That didn't make no difference. Get over them. Run. Go. And then the first thing they had us do was take the duffel bag and open it, turn it upside down, and shake everything out of it. And them suckers, they collected all the girly magazines. They'd be walking around picking them up going, oh, I ain't seen this one for this month yet. Candy bars. Oh, Zag Nuts. I love those. And they confiscated those. All the sodas they confiscated. All the girly magazines. All the candy. It was like Christmas to them. They left the cigarettes alone, but they confiscated everything else. But the drill sergeant down in the reception station, he told you, get the candy, get the girly magazines, get some sodas. Remember, you're up there for 8 weeks, and you're not going to be able to go to a PX. And then they confiscated all of it. And truthfully, though, most of the kids that I know of today would, you know, there's an old saying that mostly everybody's heard of the Navy SEALs. And they say 150 people started out in the Navy SEAL class, and 45 of them graduated. Or maybe even 20 of them graduated. I don't know what it is. But I can't imagine today 100 kids getting off the bus, 100 kids, teenagers, men, I don't know, whatever you want to call them, or women, get off the bus. And if they went through what I went through in 1976, if 100 of them got off the bus, I would imagine maybe 10 of them would make it through the first day. We had probably the opposite. We had actually 10 of them that didn't make it through the first day. And now bear in mind, I know I'm not talking about SEAL training. I'm not talking about Green Beret training. I'm just talking about regular Army basic training. You're constantly, my first day of basic training, I must have done, it seems like 600 push-ups. My first day. I'm not kidding. I'm not exaggerating. Maybe it was less, but it seemed like 600. Drill sergeant all the time screaming in your ear. Then they got that Smokey the Bear hat, and they're screaming in your face, and they're poking your nose with the brim of that Smokey the Bear hat while they're screaming at you. It was crazy. It was crazy. But supposedly they did away with that about 2 years ago. And now it's more of the smooth transition into the Army. And the thing is, today they have stress cards. I just can't imagine you getting there and them giving you what's called a stress card. A piece of paper that you keep in your pocket, and when you feel stressed out, when your drill sergeant is hollering at you, you're supposed to be able to pull out this card. I don't know what it says on it, but supposedly it's a stress card. You pull it out and it says, "I'm stressed." And the drill sergeant's supposed to leave you alone. I don't know what to say about that. I've heard it was true. I've heard it from many, many people that just got out that it's true. And my only answer was, so when you go to war and bullets are whizzing past your head, do you still have a stress card so you can tell the enemy, "I'm stressed," and they'll stop shooting at you? I just can't get over that one. I just cannot get over that one. Has the Army become so sissified? And I'm just saying the Army. It's the entire military that has stress cards. The Marines get stress cards. Stress cards. And I still say, somebody shooting at you, some terrorist, some Russian, some China, some Chinese man shooting at you. You're going to hold up a stress card and say, "Don't shoot, I'm stressed." Again, these videos about the military that I'm about to tell you, they're not flattering. Wasn't really happy when I was in, did 10 years, but I can't imagine being in the Army today. I really can't.